This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Welcome to WatchMomo.com, and today we're counting down the top 10 scary scenes or things or moments or whatever from Avatar: The Last Airbender. For this list, I'm only counting things that are scary in the spooky or creepy sense. For example, being attacked by a dangerous animal or almost being killed by a lightning strike is certainly terrifying, but it's not like spooky or creepy. There's different flavors of scary, you know what I mean. We're doing Halloween stuff. Alright, number 10. Haybai, the black and white spirit. While he ends up being a friend of Aang's eventually, at first he was actually kinda scary. His form that he appears in during his first appearance is certainly scary looking, and it fits well in the aesthetic of Avatar, unlike some other spirits in this franchise, but that's a topic for another video. Anyway, when Haybai first appears, it is kind of menacing how he just manifests from the spirit world. He also abducts people from a village as revenge for humans destroying his forest. This is actually kind of frightening considering he's just indiscriminately attacking humans as revenge. He didn't even abduct the humans that destroyed his forest. Imagine how scary it would be to be abducted in the middle of the night by a powerful spirit. However, the reason he's only number 10 on this list is because he's not a malevolent being, and he's just the guardian of his forest. He is capable of being reasoned with. Just stay out of his territory. Number 9. The Swamp. When Team Avatar gets lost in the swamp, they quickly notice how ominous the place is. Well, except Sokka, he's always skeptical about these things. This episode certainly has an ominous tone to it. Throughout the episode, we see the point of view of something stalking Team Avatar. Sokka and Katara also see unsettling visions of people they've lost. Later, Team Avatar is attacked by a giant swamp monster, who ends up just being a waterbender bending the water in the plants. And that's why this is only number 9 on the list, because we find out it was just a bunch of greasy people living in a swamp. Nothing mysterious was happening after all. Or was it? Alright, number 8. Wan Chi Tong. Another spirit on this list, and trust me, it won't be the last. Wan Chi Tong may just look like a typical unimposing gigantic owl at surface level, but his personality and mannerisms give him an unnerving demeanor. The way he moves, the way he intimidates the humans, and the way he transforms into a giant dragon owl thing when he's angry because you misused his knowledge. It seems like you could never be certain if your use of his knowledge would displease him, and you could end up as a stuffed head. It would make any trip to his library filled with anxiety. Number 7. The nightmare that Zuko has while he, has a fever and stuff. Near the end of Season 2, after Zuko frees Appa from the Dailees prison, he falls ill from making a decision that was at such a conflict with his perception of himself. During this episode of sickness, he has a dream where he's the Fire Lord. He is accompanied by red and blue dragons with the voices of Iroh and Azula respectively. The Azula dragon encourages him to sleep while the Iroh dragon advises him to get the hell out of there! The setting melts around him and he hears his mother calling for help as he sinks into the floor. This nightmare is especially unsettling for Zuko because he hadn't seen his mother since she had disappeared 6 years ago. I'll also give an honorable mention to the nightmare he has after this, where he dreams that he's like an Aang-Zuko hybrid. That was a bit uncanny. Number 6. Aang's nightmare in the episode called, Nightmares and Daydreams. When Team Avatar arrives on the uninhabited Fire Nation island to meet up with the invasion force, Aang has the sudden realization that he'll have to fight the Fire Lord in 4 days. This gives Aang great anxiety, and causes him to have many nightmares and daydreams over the next couple days. Most of the nightmares are quite humorous in nature, but one of them is genuinely scary. The nightmare involves Aang progressing through a sequence of scary events leading into one another. There's a giant Momo, and then his friends are each in trouble and he's helpless to help them. The creepiest part to me is how Toph doesn't have any eyes. He's then attacked by a Fire Lord made of fire, trapped under ice while Zuko looks down on him, and finally witnesses the Earth being destroyed by a falling comet. No doubt that his mind got that from Sozin's comet. I also like how his dream is constantly changing location for no logical reason. That always happens to me in dreams, almost without realizing it. But yeah, imagine having that kind of pressure on your shoulders that you have to save the whole world. It would certainly be hard to sleep at night. Alright, number 5. Not having NordVPN to protect your data. Alright, I couldn't think of 10 things, so this is taking the number 5 spot. What do you want from me? Avatar's not really a scary show for the most part. But what is horrifying is when your personal information is not protected. And that's why you need NordVPN. NordVPN uses double encryption to make you anonymous online. You can also get NordVPN on multiple devices to protect your information while in public places, like airports or coffee shops. But you know what's even scarier than someone stealing your personal information? Not being able to watch Avatar. In my previous video about Avatar being on Netflix in the United States, many people commented how they couldn't watch Avatar because it wasn't on Netflix in their country. Well, now you can watch it with NordVPN. You see, NordVPN allows you to use servers in other countries, meaning you can access the different versions of Netflix available in other countries. So protect your information and watch Netflix in other countries now by clicking the link in the description, nordvpn.org/avatarcritic. Or use the coupon code AvatarCritic and get 68% off a 2-year plan. And right now, during Cyber Month, every purchase of a 2-year plan gets you 1 month free, plus a surprise gift. NordVPN also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Click the link in the description, nordvpn.org/avatarcritic. And protect your information and watch Avatar today. Alright, number 4. Kataras' story about her mom's friend that Katara's mom told to Katara and that she told to Team Avatar. In the episode called The Puppet Master, which is Avatar's closest thing to a Halloween episode, we first see Team Avatar camping in the woods telling each other ghost stories. Sokka tells a stupid ghost story which prompts Katara to tell a legitimately creepy story that happened to her mom. When Katara's mom, Kaya, was a little girl, there was a blizzard that buried the village for weeks. After it was over, Kaya realized she hadn't seen her friend Nini or her family since the storm. She went to Nini's house, but no one was there. But there was a fire burning in the fireplace. Suddenly, she heard a voice say,
"It's so cold, and I can't get warm."
She turned and saw Nini standing by the fire. She appeared blue like she was frozen. Kaya went to get help, but when everyone came back, Nini was gone. No one knows what happened to her. Her house still stands empty, but they say you can sometimes still see smoke coming from her chimney, like Nini is still trying to get warm. I remember when I first heard this, I was genuinely creeped out. There are some people that tried to theorize that Hama was Nini, but Hama was a generation older than Katara's mom, so that can't be the case. It must also be creepy since their village is so small, so everyone must live in proximity to Nini's house. Although I am betting that the village that Kaya grew up in is different than the village that Sokka and Katara were from. In case you didn't know, Sokka and Katara's village wasn't the entire Southern Water Tribe, it was just one village. And it also makes sense that people would marry between villages to prevent inbreeding. But I digress. We'll never know if this story is real or not. Now, I don't think Kaya would lie to Katara, but maybe Kaya was delusional when it happened. She could have been starving or exhausted from enduring a horrible storm for weeks and been hallucinating or something. But someone does need to make a short comic of this story, whether it be official or fan-made. I tried looking for one, but couldn't find one. Number 3. The Dailees Brainwashing. When Team Avatar arrived in Ba Sing Se, they were greeted by a woman named Ju Di. Ju Di has an almost robotic demeanor about her. She avoids questions that Sokka asks her about the war, and she secretly discourages Ba Sing Se citizens from answering similar questions, all the while with a creepy smile. Hey, that rhymed. Meanwhile, Jet gets arrested by the Dailee for attacking Iroh and Zuko. He's taken under Lake Laogai, where they brainwash him to forget about the war. And the episode ends with Team Avatar meeting a different woman named Ju Di with the same creepy mannerisms. The end of this episode is so well done. Jet being brainwashed meanwhile while Long Feng talks about creating a peaceful society, ultimately culminating in Team Avatar meeting the other Ju Di. In a later episode, it's shown how the Dailee brainwashes many women to be Ju Dis, and how they can control brainwashed people with a certain trigger phrase. As you remember, the Dailee also uses a brainwashed Jet against Team Avatar, but he does overcome it eventually. But then unfortunately he attacks Long Feng and then is killed by Long Feng, which was kind of unclear. But you know what I never thought about until like right now? Where did the Dailee get all these Ju Dis? I'm guessing they were previously women who tried to speak out against Ba Sing Se's policies and encourage discussion about the war. They were were probably brainwashed ad nauseum until their personalities were all but gone. This is actually really creepy if you think about it. I would actually like it if they made a story about this. A Judee's life before she was a Judee. It would also be interesting to see a Judee try to remember her old life, like Jet did. I mean, it was difficult for Jet, and he was only brainwashed for a short time. Imagine someone who's been brainwashed for like 10 years. They need to make this. I want a whole story about people brainwashed by the Dailee. Number 2. Bloodbending. After Katara tells the ghost story mentioned earlier, Team Avatar meet an old woman named Hama who runs a nearby inn. Now, I'm sure I don't need to reiterate this whole episode. We all remember how Hama was captured from the Southern Water Tribe and imprisoned for years. While the Fire Nation took great care to prevent the prisoners from waterbending, Hama realized that wherever there was life, there was water, and that she could actually bend the water inside living beings during full moons. She discovered bloodbending and used it to escape from prison. She later enacted revenge against the Fire Nation by living in a Fire Nation town and imprisoning random citizens by means of bloodbending. I remember being genuinely creeped out when I first saw this episode. The unnatural way people moved when being bloodbended is legitimately creepy. Or uncanny, or perturbing. Alright, put away your thesaurus. Alright, sorry. Just imagine how terrifying it would be to not be able to control your body's actions. Of all the special bending techniques added to Avatar over the series, bloodbending was definitely the best written. It was made extra creepy by being a logical extension of waterbending, there was nothing prior implying it couldn't happen, and it was given the full moon stipulation to keep it from being too overpowered. Which was completely ruined in The Legend of Korra. Anyway, this episode is unique because it has an especially creepy ending, with Hama content that she made Katara use bloodbending, despite Katara's prior refusal to use the technique. And it makes for a powerful, scary scene in a later episode when Katara uses bloodbending on a man who she thinks is the man who killed her mother. You know what else was interesting about bloodbending? Apparently the writers got the idea from reading some fan blog on the internet. I know this because I was invited to a fan Zoom meeting a few months ago with Avatar's head writer, Aaron Ehaz. It was one of the things he mentioned as an example of how the writers actually would read fan theories and stuff. By the way, this Halloween has a full moon, so if anyone's dressing up, I hope somebody goes as a bloodbender. Alright, I'm sure by deduction you know what number 1 is.
The giant enemy
centipede. Now, I actually went back and forth about whether to put Ko the Face Stealer or Bloodbending as number 1 on the list. But I decided to put Ko as number 1 because it's the only thing on this list that gave me actual nightmares. I do remember having at least one dream where I was like living in a village or something and Ko was stealing people's faces. It was pretty scary. What makes potassium hydroxide so terrifying, What makes Ko so terrifying is that he will talk to you and help you in a sense, all the while trying to get you to make an expression so he can steal your face. Imagine how nerve-wracking it would be to talk to him, not being able to make basic expressions as is human nature. I don't know about you, but I would probably fail and lose my face. Anyway, because of Iroh's connection with the spirit world, there were some fan theories that Ko had somehow stolen the face of Iroh's son, Lu Ten. But in retrospect, I don't think he did. We would have heard about it, but maybe it was an early idea that the writers had or something. It's also interesting to think about which of Ko's faces is his real original face. A lot of people seem to think it's this one, but I guess there's no way we can really know. I remember thinking it would be super cool if Ko appeared in The Legend of Korra, but then The Legend of Korra ruined everything about spirits and the spirit world, so I guess it's good that Ko didn't get ruined too. But what do you think? What things from Avatar scared you the most? Leave your nightmares in the comments. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button thing for more Avatar-related videos. Support me on Patreon. Big thanks to my patrons, Jay Campbell, My Hero Mo, Kyle Alvarez, and Colleen West. Follow me on social media, all that stuff, blah blah blah. And have a happy Halloween.